This talk that we're having today is primarily for people who have not joined Art Store. They're not Art Storefronts members, and but the topics will be relevant to Art Storefronts members as well. So it doesn't matter because we're going over all the top misconceptions about growing in art or photography business and selling art online and selling art offline and stuff like that. And so the topics we're going to go over, I'm not going to share my screen because I don't want this thing to kick us offline. All right. So I'm just going to read them off this list I have. All right. So we're going to be going over, is art selling right now today, the last during this pandemic. Some of the things that people have said are, people don't have money, jobs, and food. So what's going on there? Well, we've got a lot to say about that. So we're going to talk about that. People talk, I don't have a lot of time to do marketing, or how much time do I really need to dedicate to this a week? All right. Another one, number of pieces. Do I have enough artwork, or what's the ideal number of pieces that I'll need? Pricing. We'll talk about how to price your artwork. What should my pricing be? We'll talk about uploading to the huge online websites like the Fine Art Americas and the Saatchi Arts and things like that. We'll talk about the concept of is a web, right? Like the concept that people think that you just launch a website and now you've got a business and the rest will be easy. We'll talk about search engine optimization, SEO, and the misconception that SEO is all you need to do. And you're just going to be at the top of Google and, start getting traffic and sales right away. We're going to talk about, we get a question a lot, what tactic that I could focus on right now, and the thought that people are only one tactic away. You just launch a website and now you've got a business. Pat, I'm getting some extra.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, so we'll also talk about how can I work with interior designers, hotels, and get commercial jobs. We'll talk about discounting. Should I discount? I don't want to discount. We'll talk about the concept of passive income and instant success, right? We'll talk about the misconceptions that we get here at Art Storefronts, like that we push selling open edition prints and not originals, or that we only work with photographers. We actually hear that. Or that we only work with artists. We hear that too. And we will people have asked success rates, and we'll talk about that. So that's the list, starting from the top. First off, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Nick Friend. I'm the CEO of Art Storefronts, and I'm here with Patrick Shanahan, who is the Director of Marketing. We both have been entrepreneurs for a long time. And yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years building companies. Patrick's been a marketer for a very long time. He's one of the best out there. And we are the leaders of Art Storefronts and are talking about these types of topics all the time. So let's kick it off. Let's get into art. Is it selling right now? Right? People want to know. The pandemic just happened, right? It feels like a recession scenario, Pat. Is art selling right now? What can you say about that?
The short answer is yes. It's actually one of the winners in this, and we continue to see it week in, week out. It's sort of amazing. And can you hear me okay?
Yeah? Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just adjusted my headset. I think unintended consequences, right? Like some businesses out of this thing won, some lost. You would have asked anybody ahead of time if art was going to be one of the winners. Everyone would have said no, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, it's just a little unclear. It got worse. Okay. But yeah, say it again.
Is that better?
It's just a little muffled. I think it's from the. So while you're sorting that out, I'll talk about it from my side. Okay. So if you haven't, we're gonna have some show notes, and let's go ahead and put those. Taylor, if you're on, Taylor's one of the other people on the marketing team. I think is Taylor doing the show notes today? Patrick? Oh, he probably can't hear me. I think he probably can't see the comments right now. But we'll have the show notes in there showing some resources. But we have put together some blog posts, some video presentations that we've done showing all of the art that is selling. In fact, we're updating the notable sales every couple of days. Originals are selling, prints are selling, limited editions are selling. We just sent an email out the other day. One of our painters just sold like $10,000 to 15 different customers in the last couple of days. But it's all about the concept that during this pandemic, there are winning categories, and one of them happens to be home decor. All right, the company Wayfair, who is a huge online home decor and home office company. They make those types of products, and they're publicly traded on the stock market. They announced that their sales were up 37%, and their stock price went through the roof. And this happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So there's things like that. There's the home DIY market, like Home Depot, and all of these types of are selling like crazy. And the reason being is because everybody in the workforce just moved home. It's like, photographers and artists will always want to, outfit a new business that works on a new office. Well, everybody just moved into their new home office, right? Executives from, people making $100,000, $200,000, up to millions, up to billionaires. Everyone. And so there's actually been a rush of people buying like stand-up desks and monitors and plants, whatever it is to make their home environment more peaceful, productive, creative, to do that. And so art is actually one of the products that's been winning in this pandemic. We also explained how Sotheby's had, in March of 2020, they had the highest online bids, the quantity of bids than they ever had before. And it was up about 40% over the previous year. Well, you wouldn't think that. 2020 versus 2019. You just wouldn't think that that would be the case because of the pandemic. And at Art Storefronts, in March, the sales from the individual artist and photographer websites were up 48% as well, okay? And then we've also been publishing week by week here. The sales were up 160%. The week before, the sales were up 150%, okay? So the key thing is art is selling, right? You gotta be doing the right marketing. Your messaging has to be sensitive to the pandemic. You have to understand who is buying and how to tactically go after those buyers, right? And we get it. Like there was a comment on one of our posts the other day, and somebody said, "Nobody's buying art. People don't have jobs or food." And I saw that, and I'm like, "Who are you selling art to? Like, is that your core market? The people who don't have jobs and food?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do you understand that anybody that was making $150,000 or $200,000 before the pandemic a year is probably fine? They all have jobs. They didn't lose their jobs. Yeah. The art buyers, the people that you are building a business to make money from, are doing just fine. I can assure you of that. Okay. So, anyways, so how's your situation over there? You got it sorted?
Yeah, I think I'm better. You hear me okay?
Yeah, we'll just roll with that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because I did all my normal morning reading this morning, and there's this really good article on Bloomberg that's talking about how e-commerce stocks soar when pandemic gains seen as long lasting, right? And pretty much everyone is out there saying, and it's conjecture on their part to a certain extent, but that buying behavior is so changed, so forced into the online modalities as a result of where we are, that it's likely not coming back, right? Like, you referenced the story of what your father-in-law and mother-in-law using it the first time, or
yeah,
Uber Eats or whatever it was. Like, behaviors are fundamentally going to change. And as it pertains to art, if you are not set up to sell online, you're in big, big trouble. But going back to your, does it sell online? Like, this thing is a tragedy. The fact that people are losing their jobs is terrifying. We're not trying to make light of that or poke a stick at it or anything. It's terrifying. But at the same time, there are a lot of people that have saved, that have a lot of money, and that are still buying. I mean, we have one of the artists on our site that doesn't do a heck of a lot of print business, mostly original business, got a $15,000 yesterday. And the guy argued him down, beat him up a little bit, I think from 25, but still, it's like, those are the type of people that are out there and that are still purchasing and still making purchases. And I think, an artist or a photographer right now, you have to have the will and the want and desire to fight and try to get those sales, because so they're there. They're there.
Yep. All right. We'll do this. So time, big one we get is about time. I don't have the time to do marketing. How much time is needed per week, right? So the first thing I'll say on this is we had Meg Knappner, who she sells over $100,000 a year through her own website, right? And we had her on with the Art Storefronts members in our private workshops, where Zoom calls, and everybody's able to talk and ask questions and things like that. So we had her on there taking questions, and this was one of the questions. And what did she say? She said 10 hours. That's how much she spends on marketing a week, right? Now, I don't want anybody to think that, like if you're starting a new business, all you need to do is spend 10 hours and that's it, right? Like the more the more you're probably going to do better. But I think the key point there is it's not about how much time you spend, it's what you spend your time on that matters, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, your audio just got great, by the way.
Yeah, I figured it out. Somebody left me a comment. Or left me a comment. Thank you, Art. I appreciate that. Sometimes you never know in these things. So now I'm back.
Yeah, so spending your time on, like, you can certainly spend a ton of time, and you can look at, the marketing aspect of your art and photography business and think like, oh my God, it's basically a full-time job. I already have a job. I can't do that, right? And the reality is that if you're following a plan, that's why we try to put together have an art marketing calendar. That's why we're doing what we do, is because, we're trying to help our customers to spend the least amount of time as possible on tinkering with things that are wasting their time on low ROI activities. ROI is return on investment activities, so that someone like Meg can spend 10 hours and it's probably worth somebody else, right?
Yeah. It's not just the focusing on the what it is. It's the consistency. The consistency is the whole ball game. Like, number one, you need to be working on the right stuff. It helps to have some guidance on, hey, this is a high leverage activity, this is a high ROI activity, focus your energy on there. And then the other part's just consistency. It is literally just consistency. We've been running these workshops for our customers, and we get 100, 200, 300 of them in a Zoom call, and we're coaching and we're going through. And one of the biggest pitfalls for artists is yes, the focus up, but two, not understanding the consistency and how long it takes, right? If you've got the right plan, you've got the consistency, your 10 hours a week stacked up over 3 to 5 to 7 years is going to make a huge impact. You're going to get your business on your hands. There's no secret to it. It's not like it's magic. If you validated your art and you've got an art or photographic product that the market likes, the market wants, they like your, all it is just pressure over time.
Right.
That's it.
Yep, and I think another misconception within that is in regards to art storefronts is some people, they think maybe we're only working with people who can put in like a full-time effort into it, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We certainly have full-time photographers and artists that this is all they do, but we also have stay-at-home moms and dads, and all they want to do is make an extra 7 to 10 grand a year. So
side hustle.
Yeah, it's a side hustle. It's a side business. And so we do with our art marketing calendar, where we're giving all of the advice on exactly what you should be doing each day. We actually highlight the things, if you don't have a lot of time, they're in red. We call them the critics, so that you know that if all you can do is those tasks, you just do those, right? And then if you want to do more because you really want your business to grow, you just got to do more marketing. You just do those. But we separate those so that wherever you fall on that spectrum, it's easy. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And Jason, we got a good question. We should answer it because it's along the line of consistency. And Elizabeth, she's a customer, said consistency is everything went from less than 100 emails to over 1,000 in 2 months. Boom. And just to stretch that out, okay. So the 1,000 at the end of the year goes to 6,000, 7,000. Okay. And then next year it goes to 25,000. The year after that, it goes to 50 or 60,000. You look at the consistency through a 3-year lens, and then you realize that there's revenue per email subscriber, and it's just math. It's simple math. So if you stay at it, you're going to do great. Another question we got is Jason's concerned that it's the younger generation. They have tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, regardless of talent. They have a bigger audience to sell to. How does someone a bit older create that kind of circle of influence? Same way kids do. One follower at a time. One follower at a time. You start working at it. You start getting consistent with it. Your follower counts go up. You have a larger share of attention. Like all attention. You're gonna be ranting about this all the time. But you either have attention that you can share your art and photography and get buyers with, or you don't. If you don't, your goose is cooked. And this situation that we're in now, this pandemic, where all the offline sources just got killed overnight, just boom, done. The ones that had access to attention in a digital format email list, website traffic, Instagram followers, Facebook followers, still selling. The ones that didn't. So you can learn from that, and I think many have, and say the next 12 to 24 months, while the majority of the world is still gun shy for large screens and going to big fairs and going to big shows, online is still going to be a thing. And in the next 12 to 24 months, you can still do a tremendous amount of damage if you get started and stay consistent. That's what I'd say.
Okay, number of pieces. How many pieces should I have before I launch a website and start selling? Or do I have enough artwork to start selling? That's a good question. So the thing that I always see, somebody's like, you know what? I'm going to get 100 pieces or 100 photographs. And then like they have this number in their head that they think they have to have before they act business. And that couldn't be more backwards. Why? Because every single image you take and that you post to your website is a marketing moment. It's a marketing moment that you want to take advantage of because you need a reason to post on social media to build the following, right? And so if you launch your site and you have 100 on there, market, right? Like you can't say, I just released a new image and here's my inspiration behind it and do all the romance marketing that we talk about. And if you're not familiar with the concept of romance marketing, can we get it in our show notes here? Let's get that article in there for people to read. But
I don't know if we have Taylor on this, but
we have anybody on this. Okay, well we'll post show notes at the end. We'll post show notes, and we'll email them out as well if you're on our email list. This recording will remain, and you can come back to it. But yeah, so one is enough, right? 2 pieces, it doesn't matter because you have to start somewhere. And you're going to market the fact that you just created a new piece or you launched a new piece, a place to drive that traffic to take advantage of it, right? And you drive them back to your website because the whole thing you're trying to do is get them on your email list because then you have a lead, right? You got a lead in your sales, and over time you're going to romance market with them as you release new pieces and you do stuff, and you will bring them down the sales funnel and eventually they buy.
Yep. And it smells like an analogy. It smells like an analogy.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
This is like, it's almost like, I shudder to use the word disease to say it, but this is like an endemic problem with people that are about to start an art business or photography business. It is consistent, it is legion, it's everywhere, it's endemic. If I have a couple more pieces done, I'm just gonna build out my collection, get another 30, get another 50, then I'll be ready to launch, right? And it just goes on and on and on like that. I have a restaurant, you have a restaurant. Until you have your 10 or your 15 or your 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 dishes before you launch. I'm gonna launch with 3 dishes. Instantaneously, while you're working on your dishes, I've got people in my restaurant and it's a Mexican restaurant, and I'm making a wet burrito, I'm making a taco, and I'm making ceviche. I've been open now 10, 15 days, and I've had a few now, and they don't like the burrito, they don't like the tacos, they like the ceviche. I know that now. So now I've made about 50 different types of ceviche, and my restaurant's full all the time. Meantime, your restaurant, which is, you have no feedback, you don't know what art is going to sell, you don't even know if it'll sell, period, and you're still monkeying around with the restaurant in the china, and you're painting the walls, and you're looking at the tapestries, and it's going to get launched. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Like,
so
you
good.
don't know what you don't know. You're wasting your time trying to think that tomorrow, the next week, the next day, I'm finally going to have enough to launch. Launch with one. Launch with one. Get on with it. Like, it's so important.
All right, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the huge online art gallery websites and marketplaces like the Fine Art Americas and Saatchi Arts, right? So I'll kick this off. So here's the thing, is that whatever is easy to do, whatever everyone on the planet is doing, sitting on their couch, as I say, Cheetos and sitting on their couch, uploading their work, whatever is the easiest thing that anybody can do, by definition, will not work. That's why it doesn't mean that you might not get a sale here for a couple of years on these sites. You know, people do that. Most people don't sell any. And that's not a knock on those online art gallery sites. They're just massive. And anyone can open an account. And so you'll get thousands and thousands of people doing that a day, uploading their work, right? And so because anybody can do it without any skill, and there's no like tradecraft behind it, by definition, it just doesn't work. So you're essentially wasting your time when you do that. And what's that, right? The flip side is, and I love this point. This is a really, really important point, especially for those of you who are like, how can I differentiate myself when everybody has an iPhone in their pocket, right? How can I, how can I differentiate my artwork when there's just a gazillion painters out there? And you know what the truth is? And we talk about this. I did a rant on this called the number one difference. The funniest part is that being in the art industry for 20 years and having more than 3,000 members at Art Storefronts for the last 7 years or whatever it is that we've been building this company, there is one truth about nobody is willing to do the work to build their own business direct. Hardly anybody. I think the Art Storefronts community of the members are way ahead of anybody. And it's simply because nobody is willing to do the work that it takes to build a real business. In art and photography business, it's just a normal business like any other business. You can't hide from the fact that you have to like do some marketing. You build your own customer list, your own lead list, and if you do those things, you will have a valuable business in the end, right? With consistent income that you can retire on. It's the only way. If the business works, right? It's the only way. On the contrast of that, if you're only working with galleries and you're uploading to galleries, or whether online or offline, all you're doing is getting a 1099 independent contractor check. You're not getting the customer list. You're usually under contract. You can't even sell to those people, and you're building nothing. You're a contractor. They're building their business off your art, and you're not getting the benefit from that, which will the customer list. That's the hardest thing. You watch a show like Shark Tank, they talk about customer acquisition cost. The only thing that matters is how much it costs to acquire, right? And you're not even getting the customer. Even though it's your art that got the customer, you don't even get it, right? So going back to the main point about this is, if you really try to build your own business and do the work, you will instantly put yourself in the 0.001% of the entire industry, right? You will be one of them. And ironically, it's like one of the most paradoxical statements that you can make. There is almost no competition in the art and photography business because nobody's doing this. I mean, you have the 3,000 Art Storefronts members plus other people that are out there that are already doing it that way as well. There's not very many, right? And that's all you have. Nobody else is doing it. Just ask any of your friends, watch all of them. What are they doing? They're all uploading their things to these marketplace websites, sitting back, launch a website and they don't do anything, or they don't do any consistent marketing, right? And they think that fish are going to jump into their boat, or at the very least, they're not building any traffic and any collectors.
I would say it a little bit differently than you would. I don't think that they're not willing to do the work per se, like they're not capable of doing the work, or they just don't realize, right? Hold a dream, and everyone, especially this seems like across the board in the internet world, but especially as it pertains to art and photography, they've somehow been sold this dream of, right, of passive income, of you can just create, not do any other work aside from create. Your work is going to be sold for you, and that is the path to a big. And that is the biggest lie that is ever told.
The biggest lie.
There is not a single solitary artist or platform that is selling over 100,000, over 500,000 a year. You've not been grinding at this thing so hard for 5 to 7 to 10 plus years. I mean, you take a guy like Bill Stidham, 400,000 miles on his van over 10 years doing art shows and building. Yeah, he's got a healthy business, but he grinded his butt there to get there and work and do it. And we can go on and on and on. All of them that are making over $100,000 a year plus from their art for years and are actively marketing. Surprise, surprise! Every time I log into Instagram, almost all of those folks have an Instagram story going on. They're sending me emails on a regular basis. On Facebook all the time. They're going live. They're posting videos to IGTV. They're still doing offline events pre-COVID. They're actively marketing all the time. And if you do that, pressure over time. That's it. It's not any more difficult than that.
And that leads us right into the next one. It's a perfect segue into it, is the mindset or the thought that All you need is a website. You launch a website, got a business now, and the rest should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I was reading the comments.
Yeah. So, well, and this is a great time to talk about like generic websites. People think that you can just, it's easier than ever to launch a website, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about this, like what most people don't understand. You can Google this. That you go ahead and Google 99% of all Shopify stores. Okay, and you'll see, and it's not a knock on Shopify at all, because there's a million generic website platforms, Squarespace, go down the list, GoDaddy, doesn't matter what it is, right? But the point of that is that it's become easy to launch a website, and it almost is a disservice to people, right? Because the reality is, when you launch a website, you didn't launch a business. You don't have a business yet. You only have a business when you have customers coming in consistently, when you're doing marketing and you have some sort of a flow going, thing is being created. And so what ends up happening is people launch a website, they think they have a business, and they haven't solved the marketing problem, which is what the premise of the entire business. The success of the business is going to be dependent upon marketing, period.
Yep.
And this is not photographers or artists specific. This is just business. This is just how it works. Business owner, ask anyone who's ever built a business. It's all about marketing at the end of the day. If you don't solve the marketing problem, you will shut down. It's over. It's over. And that's why 99% of websites that get launched just fail, is because nobody's going into it going, okay, I'm launching a business here, and what am I going to do? Do I have a solution for that? Do I have a consultant that's going to help me? Am I going to do it myself? Am I going to hire an employee? How am I going to do this, right? Because I need to get leads, build an email list, and I need to turn those leads into customers.
Yeah.
So a website, a website alone is not enough, and that's a comment that you've said a lot.
Yeah. Sadly, well, not only is it not enough, it only becomes really, really important after you have a ton of attention and after you've done a ton of marketing. Early on, it's not super important, and then it is super important, but 99% of artists are in the early on phase.
Exactly. And back to your restaurant analogy, we might use that a lot on this, but go back to your restaurant analogy. It's like a guy that has the restaurant, and you've got the menu, you've got your dishes, you got your tablecloths, everything's ready to go, but nobody's coming in the door. You know what I mean? And so what you actually, at a certain point, you will realize that 99% of your time needs to be spent outside the restaurant, getting people in the door, putting a sign out there, you know what I mean? Like doing marketing, right? Get people in the restaurant, or this baby's over, right? You got to shut that thing down. So going to now let's go to the next item here, which is about SEO, search engine optimization. Okay. The next thing is, people think, okay, I've got a website. All I need to do is SEO my site, and I'm going to show up on the top of Google. This is amazing so quickly, right? Yep. The orders are going to start. The traffic's coming in. It's going to start raining orders right away. Yeah. This is what everybody thinks and is doing. And I'll go back to my other point. Do you know why they're doing it? Is because it is the easiest thing to do. You launch the website. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can do it in your pajamas at home, right? Anybody can do it anywhere in the world, right? So by definition, what everybody can do stops working because everyone's doing it. So it just gets completely diluted, and there's too much competition. And that's the thing with SEO. You're sitting there and you're just uploading stuff, and I'm just going to type some keywords in and do this. Oh yeah, and I'm going to go write search engines.
Yeah, I come at the SEO thing like 5 different ways, right? Like we're not knocking people that do SEO. We're not saying SEO is not an incredibly important trade. We're really good at it. There's a science to it, and there's some very talented people. But it's like anything else. If you really want to win at SEO, you have to work at it all the time. If you want to make that your main marketing channel. It is part of this endemic problem, this disease of passive income that artists and photographers have been sold. It's like snake oil salesmen that are running around preying on people, saying, look, give me $2,000, I'll get you listed on all these directories, I'll do SEO. And what are they playing at, right? Like buyers are they trying to fulfill for you? The same one that says you're magically going to have a website. The people are all of a sudden just going to show up and buy your art and you're going to make a ton of money without doing any work. Not the case. It's not the case. And so SEO for 99% of artists and photographers out there, there's some weird cases I'm sure where it would work right out of the gates. It's just not going to work. Not going to work at all. Be a sustained source of traffic for you. It is not going to be a sustained source of sales. At $2,000, you might as well light on fire. You'll get more results with it. And that's what it says.
Yeah, and people go, if you're like, here's what I would say: if you're going to spend 100 hours on something, there are way better return on investment (ROI) activities, to those hours on than SEO. SEO worked. I say this all the time. SEO was the arbitrage. It was the advantage in like 2003. I've said this before. I built a company. I built another one of my companies on it from 2003 to 2009. And after that, it stopped working. So SEO really stopped working about 10 years ago. That's how old that tactic is. What we're doing is the stuff that's working right now that nobody knows about. But guess what? Pat, right? What, in 3 years, 5 years, that stuff's going to stop working as well because it's going to get old. You know what I mean? Digital marketing, it decays, All of these things have. At one point, direct mail, was the arbitrage. Why? Because nobody had received direct mail yet. Everybody got their first time, like they got a direct mail piece. It was like, whoa, what's this? It's an advertisement for something. This was probably in like 1935, right? Or something like that. And people hadn't seen it. And then now it's like you're bombarded with it. And so you throw most of it in the trash and it just drives you crazy, right? So whether it's that, email marketing was crazy, right? Like you used to get 70, 80% open rates. Well, now it's 20%. So every tactic, it gets less effective the more people are doing it. So the main point about SEO is there are better things to be spending your time on from a marketing standpoint if you have marketing time to spend. And if you do that, you're going to get a much higher return on investment on your time.
Yeah. I got a comment from Michael Terry that says, for me, the info I got for a 15-minute call wasn't enough for me to invest to get started. And I'm assuming he had an exploratory call with us. Good, Michael. It's not supposed to be. Like, the 15-minute call is not going to do anything for you except give you some more info. Like, where you would figure out whether this is or not are exactly where you are now, on the lives, listen to the podcast, consume a bunch of content, and get educated. Because the mindset when you come in is really key. Like, the website's only a small part of it. The marketing is all of it. If your work is sold offline, it will sell online, and you get going, and it's fresher over time.
Yeah, and I think like it's a good point, and I think it's to like understand what our product really is, to compare it like apples to apples with the alternative. So there's the because it's not, you shouldn't be looking at it as really, right? Because it's like when it comes to the one-time setup fee, which starts at $1,000, $999, right? It begins, and then there's that, and then there's the $44 a month. That's the the entry plan. That component of the one-time setup once is for lifetime business and marketing consulting. So the thing you have to ask yourself is, what am I doing for marketing? Are you paying consultants? Do you have an employee? You start pricing that out, you will very quickly realize that how cheap this option actually is. And the reason it's cheap is because we have productized the marketing product. It's never been done before. I think it's going to be done in every single industry. It's never been done before, but it will be done in other industries because we're allowing everybody, like a co-op, if you're familiar with like an artist co-op, where artists all pool their funds together to have an art gallery, and then every day like somebody else works the art gallery, right? Well, we're allowing to pitch into this marketing part, so you actually have a marketing team and a company behind you to help you do your marketing and to help you run your business, okay? Because there's a lot of in the ways that photographers and artists should market themselves, and then there's specific things that they can do that are unique to them, right? But in generalized it. So you got to look at the apples and apples comparison. What is it? You need a marketing solution. So what are you doing for that? And I think that's the point.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too because you know if you chart out like the history of software as a service, hosted websites and the like way back in the day, you had very few competitors, and so you could just sell your service. People would have to come to you. You were the only one in the industry, and that was fantastic. Then for 10, 15 years, there are so many competitors out there that you can use for your website software. It is insanely daunting. Like there's 15 different options for every single solitary web application you could possibly imagine. Now we're more in a different phase of software, which is unless you have successful customers, you don't have a business. You don't have a business. And it's an amazing place to be. And it's like evolved and learned as a business. It was like, okay, create the best software product that you can. And we believe we have that in terms of selling art and photography online. But you know what? It's not enough to create a successful customer. And if we don't create a successful customer, we're not in business. And like, one of the best things that's happened to us, and you see, you guys that are watching us, you see Elizabeth in the comments. They're going, is this woman a paid shill? Did they pay her to do those comments? And we didn't pay her, and we didn't even know that she was coming on. And we're highly appreciative that she's leaving those comments. Why is she leaving those comments? Because the level of support that she, especially in this COVID time, is off the charts. We realize that our only focus, our number one focus needs to be, because 98% of artists and photographers are in the same. They don't have a website problem. They don't have a quality of art and photography problem. They have a marketing problem. And guess what? The only way you're going to get better is if you stay at it consistent, you know where to focus your attention and your highest ROI stuff, and you just stay at it. Pressure over time, consistency. So you look at a business like ours that went from putting out great content, yes, having the best podcast on iTunes, shameless plug, our marketing podcast. Check it out if you haven't heard it. And we've now morphed into literally sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 live sessions with our customers on a weekly basis, solving their problems, getting them all working together, all focused on the same problems. And it's been life-changing for our business. And it's why, Elizabeth's right. And
because we were just talking to Elizabeth Sheridan yesterday.
Yeah,
right.
But it's not just like how good it is for her. It's like it's created this, right? Like before, we would put out content that we thought was important, and we had some feedback, right? Like we were talking to our customers. But this pandemic and everybody and us needing to do everything that we could to support our customers has got us so much closer to the problems and the issues that they're experiencing day in and day out. And while we might have peripherally heard before, now it's like we're drinking from a fire hose. And it's like it's this new trend in software, and I think it's going to be totally the complete emerges out of this. But it's like it's got to be you and your customers in the boat, both pulling on yours, rowing in the same direction. What you can do to make that happen gives you a great chance to succeed. Anything that you don't, you're out of business. And before, we would talk to customers a little bit, and we would iterate and switch our content up and put out new stuff, and then tell them to listen to it. And that's all well and good. Like, hey, here's a blog post, here's a podcast, go listen to it. But the missing piece, where we're like taking it to level 11 right now, is the in-person instantaneous feedback that we're getting from our customers by having 200 of them in a Zoom chat. And they're telling us what they're focused on. They're telling us what they're working on. And we're going, you're working on what? What? No, don't. That's the worst thing you could be spending time on right now. That is a terrible thing. We got to focus on this. Or I'll give you an instance from this last week. What are we doing right now? We're live on Facebook. Mike and I are on a Zoom call. We're live on Facebook. What is another thing that we're doing all the time? We're doing Instagram Lives. We think they offer tremendous ROI and attention arbitrage. And so we learn them. We get really good at them. We teach them, we encourage them to do it. On Thursday, a whole room of customers was like, we were going to teach something 2 weeks down the line. Everyone in this Zoom call was like, no, we want to know that now. So what do? Create a seminar, dropped it yesterday. And it's like,
change the schedule, right?
Yeah, and it's not even like a this sounds like a sales pitch. I'm telling you right now, go somewhere else. It is not a sales pitch. By getting that close to your customers and hearing continuously their feedback, and not just like an occasional call here or there, we've like consistently. I think we've run 30 of them maybe with customer sizes, 30 somewhere in there, 25, and it's like we actually have like face-to-face relationships with like a great deal of them now on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is a new way of doing business, I think it will fundamentally change the SaaS industry. That's just
Yeah, and I think, the way that I look at that too, that I think is so important is because we advocate like, you need to be close with your customers, right? And here I am, CEO, right, and owner of the company, and here you are, director of marketing, like the top brass is here. And what are we doing right now that are watching? We are literally being as close as we can. Obviously, the Zoom workshops with our customers is closer because we're talking to each other live on the conference, and they can ask questions about their specific business. But I want you guys to I want you to see me doing this, and I want you to understand that if Nick can do it, then you can do it too. Because this is what, when you look at the most successful photographers and artists, right? They are closer with their customers, right? Again, I'll go back to Meg, and she was talking about how her top collectors, she's on a text message basis, right? Now, not everybody gets on that level, a super premium level. She doesn't charge for it, but it's like, look, when somebody is spending a lot of money and maybe has bought 3 originals or something like that, you're kind of like on a friendship basis at that point, And so it's setting the example as much as anything, because to build a great photography or art business, you should be connected with your customers as much as possible, and you can do it too. So we even talked about yesterday how using Zoom and getting your top collectors on a Zoom conference is a potential thing that we're going to start looking into, the playbook for that. And I think that is really, really interesting. I mean, you could even do one, and you could invite a whole bunch of interior designers on one and do a whole presentation for them and how you think your photography into their portfolios of clients and things like that. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think those playbooks are about they're like it feels like we're about to get out of this, right? And it feels like the shelter in place is about to start. And it feels like we're going to go back to, I hate saying it, the new normal. But if more shows keep getting canceled, we will build some sort of virtual art show, how you do it, playbooks, start.
Absolutely.
Whether it uses Zoom or whatever it is, use our Zoom account to host them. Like, I'm very curious to see what that looks like. And we're not the only ones that are going to be doing that. Like, every industry that can't, Facebook was making all of its announcements today. And by the way, Kim, Peter, Elizabeth, that whole Instagram live session yesterday, I was learning to hear that Facebook now lets you share your Instagram lives, or let you share your Instagram lives to IGTV with one button. So that whole thing we did yesterday, 2 hours of teaching in-depth tactical.
I am so glad that they did that. I can't tell you.
But where I was going, so Facebook is coming out with all these new streaming rules, and this is literally like, Facebook normally has their big developer conference right now, so obviously that's online. And they're talking about how for all musicians, they're going to allow them to just do a special kind of live streaming, no video, just the audio. So you can do a day and hear a concert. And they're talking about all these live concerts that are coming in, and they're all going to have to be virtual. So, like, look, if that's what the pivot is, then you better believe how to have a photography show pivot or an art show pivot, whether it's for, your whole entire list or some select group or whatever. There's going to be some tradecraft there. That's it.
And then, okay, so this leads us to another topic on the list that I think is great: automation. Right?
Yeah.
Again, automation. This goes back to the passive income thing, right? And by automation, what we're saying is, so many people think like, hey, I need to have an unsold carts feature so that I can send an automated, to whoever put something in the shopping cart, and I need to automate that, right? And like automation, which is the exact opposite of what we're talking about here. One-on-one communication. We call it hand-to-hand combat, right? And I always say, like, look at art and look at how cold that experience is. Your job is to literally be the exact opposite. Do everything opposite of what they do, right? It's the cheapest stuff. It's cold. There's no experience involved in any of it. And you're not playing that game. The customer experience that you provide is your trump, right? Okay? So the last thing you want to do, and I can smell these from a mile away, right, is send an automated email to a potential collector. Do you want to talk about the one way to blow it with somebody is if they can smell that they just got an automated email from you, the artist, wasn't real? You literally will just blow it right there. And like, the artist Wyland, very successful artist, he wrote a book called Don't Artist. And he talks about how his average collector, buys 8 pieces. He like ran the numbers, okay? And so the right set that you have to have, think about this,
and you should say too, that's over like what, like a 20 to 25 year career.
Yeah, I don't know how long, but it's average. It's average, right? So that's what it is. And
the point is, he's got the data.
He's got the data. But like when you understand that as an art seller, right? Realize that when the day that somebody joins your email list is the beginning of a very long-term relationship. And you should look at every one of those guys like, going to get these guys to have an average of 8 purchases from me. Some might be 1, some might be 15. But when you realize that, you instantly think, wait a minute, now I see why I'm not going to blow it with some sort of automation that somebody can smell. I'm going to actually send them an email that's personal, that's specific to them, and so that they know it was me from my personal Gmail account or something like that, so that they know it was me. And and they believe that they have a connection with me.
Yeah. You've got a question from Julia Nikolov, who wants to know how much it is to join.
So the pricing begins at a one-time membership fee of $999. That's the entry level, $4 a month, and it goes up from there for all of the bells and whistles. And because we're an all-in-one solution, the best thing to do is to request a demo. Our outreach team will get back to you. I don't know if they're doing it today. They might be. Some of them might be doing that today, but they will, on Monday. I should also mention that we are running a very big sale right now that ends at the end of the month. Okay, just a couple more days. So the last day is Thursday. That sale is ending. So if you're interested at all, right now is a great time to request a demo and do that. What they're going to do is they're going to talk to you about what you've been doing in your art business. They want to make sure you're a good fit. Not everybody is, and if you're not, we will. And they're not going to hound you if you do not want to. If you're not a good fit or you don't want to talk to them, trust me, nobody's ever going to call you again. That's not how we do things. Okay, we're getting like 50 or so demo requests a day, and if you don't want to talk to us, nobody's going to talk. Don't worry about that. Most importantly is to figure out whether it's a good fit for you, and what is, and then go from there.
Yeah, I'm getting that thing into the comments now.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we have a request a demo button. If you go to our website, it's always in the upper right-hand corner, demo. So just click that, fill out the form, and you're in the queue. You can also call. We have a phone number, which is in the contact page on our website. It's 512-900-3025. There will be an automated service that will pick that up right now, and it'll take a message for you and somebody can get back to you. But usually the best thing to do is request a demo so that the team can get it and get you in the queue.
Yeah, they're all details of the sale are, do you know?
There's just heavily discounted pricing and time that you can add, because what we're doing right now is we're trying to add a bunch of free time onto whatever plan that and the purpose is so that, right, like we're in a pandemic situation, even though art is selling like crazy, but we did this before all of that information came out to try to give you a bunch of free time. So it's like, if the economy is back in 6 months or something like that, you're not paying for that 6 months, but that's essentially how it works. But vary depending upon what you buy, like whether it's 1 month for free or 6 months for free or a year for free. I mean, there's even on our top plan, I think we're getting a year for free added onto it. So when you actually look at the whole purchase and you divide it by the number of months that you bought, the price gets really, really low. So it's a great time. There's literally never been a better time right now to join during this this sale that we have. If you've been following us, if this is the first time you've heard about us, probably don't take advantage of it. We do not want anybody rushing into this at all. That's not how we work, okay? If you've known about us before today and you've done your research and you think it's a good fit for you, or you have questions, make sure you ask more questions. Don't rush you into anything, but that's who it's for.
Michael, no, the demo, the call is just like,
It's a discovery call.
Yeah, like see if it's a fit. It's the first date, and then the demo gets scheduled afterwards, where they like walk you through the whole thing on a screen share and all the bells, all the whistles, all that.
Yep. Okay. On to the next one. You're only one tactic. Like, what's the number one tactic that I can do right now, Pat? That's what a lot of people come in and ask. And this goes back to the consistency point, but let me pass it over to you.
Yeah, there isn't one. There's never been one. There never will be one. There's nothing that you can do. There's not one. And again, this is all just going back to the same thing. Like you're just one magic button away from having fish jump into your boat. Just the fish do not jump into the boat ever, right? Like in big picture, I would say it's not any one thing. It'll never be any one thing. It's exactly weird. Focusing on the right things, very important, and we're very good at saying, stop doing that. That is not going to bring you people into your store. That is not going to email list. That is not going to bring you buyers. And then doing the rest of it consistently. It's not any more difficult than that. It sounds like, oh, easy for you to say, how do you guys know? That would be a better question, right? How do we know? We're an incredibly data-driven organization as marketers. We have 3,000 customers. We have many millions of dollars a year of art being sold on our platforms. And, we're hardcore in the trenches, eat our own digital marketers at our core. And we figure out the new cool stuff. We figure out if it's worth our customers' time to run. We then teach them how to run it. We then encourage them to run it. We run it ourselves all the time. And it moves so damn fast, especially now, how quickly things are changing. I think the number one thing, straight up, and you may feel differently, that we can hang our hat on right now is how quickly we have pivoted this business from the time that damn pandemic until now.
Yep.
The sea change that this business has gone through since then will forever alter the course of it, and it's going to forever alter the course of our business because so many of them are doing such a better job at selling, at marketing, because we are having these weekly calls week in, week out. Some of our customers right now, who knows if this is going to last during the pandemic, that is spending 5 to 6 hours a week with us in video chats.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
That's insane.
What you're saying is we actually pivoted and we created a pandemic strategy for the business, for the marketing product, right? Because as soon as that happens, like, wait a minute, our customers, they're going to need to do something different, right? To continue selling, right? Like the language, messaging, the subject lines, the different things that they need to do to get the attention. It all changed. It changed on the spot. And I agree with you. I think there's more proud of than the fact that, we had our whole art marketing calendar and we had to literally change everything like on the dime. And we've done that. It's been, working on it so hard and executing,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple people that are saying that they called and they got quoted higher prices than that is totally I'm not sure what's
yeah, you may. We hear that sometimes. I got to say, for the last couple of years, there's always people that come in. They're like, "I'm not. I don't know. Did you? I don't know if you listened to the whole thing. It just hasn't changed. So that our base pricing has been, $999 or $1,000 one-time fee and $44 a month for many years. So it goes up from there, right? That's just to get in, right? But if you want all the bells and whistles, it goes up from there. But that's always been the pricing.
When you get 100% of the marketing product,
you get 100% of the marketing product on that plan, and that's all you need. Everybody wants to think that all this other stuff, and the reality is and this answers a question that you had mentioned earlier from one of the comments is the investment into your own business. Here's the thing. How is your business doing, right? As a photographer artist, okay? When people or when I'm evaluating any of our customers' businesses, I'm auditing them, right? You know what the first thing I do is, right? I go, obviously you look at their sales. They don't have a lot of sales and they're like, am I going in the right direction or the wrong direction? I go, how many emails did you collect last month? How many did you collect the month before that? The month before that, and we chart it out. Because if you are not gaining emails, you are not putting leads into your funnel, right? The more leads you put into the more are going to come out the bottom. So if you look like if your list is not growing, your business is not growing. It is a future predictor of success. The quantity of emails that you have that you are generating is the pressure over time that you're talking about, right? You're doing marketing, you're getting them on the list, and so many on the list every single month, the rest will take care of itself, period. Yep. You know, especially if you're following our art marketing calendar, because we bring them to a close, you know? And so the whole job is getting that, you know, getting the leads in the funnel. So evaluate your own business and look at like, hey, what's going on right now? Like you can audit yourself right now. Like how many emails am I collecting a month, right? 1,000, 500, 3? You know, if you're not collecting them, business is not going anywhere. And that's probably why, you know, if you notice your sales haven't been growing and you're like, why haven't they been growing? I got visitors coming to my website because to it, you know? And so back to the other point we were talking about the one marketing tactic, right? And what you were just saying is it's never about, there isn't one tactic, because a successful marketing plan that builds a business is consistent, and it's everything that you do. It's of Facebook, Instagram, email, right? It's all of these things together that work together in unison to make this, you know, take advantage of the traffic that is coming in and the emails that it generates. If you're missing any of those pieces, then you got holes all over the place, and things are going to leak through, and you're not going to get the results that you were hoping for.
Yeah, I would also say too. I mean, I things there, right? Sort of a lot to unpack. Like, you know, relative to the one tactic, it's like, yeah, okay, you know, how much are you gathering, and that's directly indicative of how your business is going to grow. But also equally important is how many emails are you sending? How often are you posting to your socials? You know, are you actually work into your marketing? Because if you're not, this is not going anywhere. I mean, that's just that simple. And there's not one technique that gets any of it done. You know, what's the other thing that we see entirely too much of? You know, I'm just going to boost a couple of posts. Nick, you won't believe this. I talked to my sister. Her husband, you know, it works in marketing. Has a buddy in marketing, said I should boost post on Facebook and Instagram. So you know what I did? I boost post on Facebook and Instagram. You won't believe this. I get like 1,800 likes. I get like 1,800 likes on the post. But you know what's weird? I haven't gotten any sales. Do you know what else is weird? When you go down, there's no button to spit likes out that you've collected. That's not enough. Okay, you can't get likes out of the ATM. You're not paying for anything. You're not going out to dinner. You can't go to restaurants are closed. So it's just, you know, that thing frustrates the hell out of me too. There is no one thing. There's never going to be one thing. There's not one thing for our business. There's not one thing for business. There's not one thing for anybody's business.
It's everything working together over time, consistently. So doing marketing consistently, any business has to do, right? Like get the misconception out of your head as quickly as possible that you are not like every entrepreneurial business or any other small business, right? You have to do consistent marketing over time, and that's actually the answer. That's the answer to the right. And so we hear a lot too. Another way that this question comes in is should I spend more time focusing on Instagram or Facebook? It's the same thing. It's the other. It's the whole thing working together to help you capture leads and convert them into sales. Okay, so this brings us, which is how can I work with interior designers, hotels, and get commercial jobs? Well, you know what happens? Like every couple of weeks, somebody in private members group says, I just got a hotel job, or I just got a doctor's office or a dentist's office, right? 20 pieces, 10 pieces, 30 pieces. Just got contacted by, what was it? Like there were, there's been, people are getting featured in magazines, right? Like, I don't want to say National Geographic or Nikon, right? There was one of our members, Nicholas Jensen, was featured on Nikon's magazine, and then he was shared on their Instagram page, I think. And so how does this all happen? It comes back to the exact same point we just made. When you are doing consistent marketing, because you are out there, you are out and about, people are able to see you. It's all about it's the same thing that you're doing in sales. When you're getting sales, you're doing the marketing, you're getting the eyeballs on your work, you're getting the attention on your work. You look like a business professional real business. And so then these companies and these brands might consider starting to work with you, right? Some of their employees are probably coming across you. They might even be on your email list or following you on social media. And eventually they're like, hey, let's work with this guy. I like his work. Or I'm a dentist. I want to put his photography or her artwork in my office.
Yeah. You know, it's like we're a broken record, right? Like I'm going to find a big commercial art file or a restaurant or a whatever, or an interior designer that's just going to buy all my work. It's just another side of the same damn coin, right? Like there's one, I'm just waiting to get the one deal. It's like there's that one, and like the my other favorite. Do you guys have a list of high net worth buyers?
Oh, yeah, the magic list.
There's a list that's been floating around out there. I don't know if you've seen it. That list, exactly like it. Everyone's heard about it. No one's ever seen it.
It's Bigfoot.
It doesn't exist. I mean,
the Loch Ness Monster.
I already stole it.
That's another good one. That's worth talking about too, right? Because it misses the point that the list that is right for you is the one of the people who have a connection to your subject matter. It's not some general list that you buy, like my whole community of residents is somehow going to like your work, right? You need to find the people that have an emotional connection with you and your subject matter. That's it. And you're going to have to build it.
Yep.
One person at a time, one follower at a time, right?
Yep. I mean, to go back to your point about like interior designers, I do think there's a good angle there. I do think there's a good angle ways you can work it, but even working them, like you have to work a whole heck of a lot of them, right? Like you have to know how to find them, you have to contact them, you have to get your work in front of them, and I think it's a nice marketing channel. You know, we teach on it a little bit here and there, but it's like anything else. Like, it takes a whole heck of a lot of grinding. You know, they're like, especially the good ones that are actually getting all the jobs. Like, they're getting contacted by everybody all the time. Like, grab my stuff, right? Like, you know, it's a grind like anything else.
Okay, so discounting. Yeah. So a common that we get all the time is, hey, art storefronts, you guys, all you want to do is just tell me to discount. I don't want to discount, will devalue my work, right? First of all, I'll kick this off for us, all right? First of all, we do not care if you ever discount. We don't care if you discount. You don't have to discount. So I think that's an important thing to say. And the reason that we have discounting strategies in our art marketing calendars because they work. Okay. So the people that are selling $200,000-$300,000, they're discounting. They're selling originals, limited editions, and open edition prints. They're the most successful. You can either do what they're doing and make that decision, doesn't matter to us, or don't do it, right? But the fact of the matter is, it works.
Yep, it works. And I know that doesn't discount is Louis Vuitton. So the fact that your art and photography is high quality product as Louis Vuitton, that's amazing. I tip my hat to you. I doff my hat to you. That's incredible. I would go as far to say, okay, that, and I'm sort of out on a limb with this one, and you know, feel free to throw things at me while I'm out there. I almost think you should have a sale running at all times.
A whole deep concept that before you even say that, we have to go like through it. So you can't just throw that out there, because that's just blow people out of their chair. That needs a whole different discussion, right? But I think, you know, the other thing that comes out is I'm going to devalue my art discount, right? There's such a misconception that, and we actually talk about the flip side of this in marketing, that nobody's seeing your messages. You think that everything that you do in the detail that you see it. Nobody cares what you're doing, right? Nobody cares. Like, what were art storefronts' discounts for the 12 months? You have no idea, right? Like, you have no idea. You didn't see it. You might have seen passively that we might have had one, you know, some other time, but you have no idea what they are, right? And any idea what yours are. They don't know what you sold an original for last year, and they don't care, okay? And here's the bigger point about it, right? You think you think that you're devaluing your work. Like if you're selling an original for $10,000 and you're going to give a deal for a high net worth individual to 8,000 for it, right? And you think that like that devalues you are so wrong. I need to explain this very, very well. Okay, that buyer. Okay, when I am buying anything expensive, I am negotiating, and when I buy your original for 8 grand, I don't believe that is worth 8 grand. I believe it's worth 10 grand. And I just got a 20% profit on it, right? The value of it is $10,000. If we sell it, I'm going to resell it at $10,000 or more, but I got it for 8,000. And nobody needs to know that, right? But I got the asset cheaper than what it is worth. And let me just tell you, I've made a living doing that. That's what we do, right? Like this is what business people do. Unless you're in the, inheritance, the least sophisticated. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who inherited a lot of money and they're totally unsophisticated and they pay retail price on everything. But everybody else who's living and made their own way, they will negotiate. They will buy when things are discounted. And believe me, like they're not thinking that you discount your work. They want your work. They want it on their wall and they want to get a better deal on it, right? They want to get a better deal on it. I want to get something for $80,000 and I want to say that's worth $100, or that's worth you want to buy that, that's $120,000, right? So you're not devaluing your work when you're giving a deal for an art to a potential qualified buyer, right? And unless you don't have inventory,
the biggest misconception too is like thinking in your head for a minute that your lower value pieces, okay, that by going to 10 or 20% off to try and whip up a frenzy of sales is somehow devaluing you, when the more expensive the piece is, more the negotiation comes in. Like it comes in at like another even like level and tranche. And I use the example, we have a customer in our store who just did a show, and we worked very closely with them because we wanted to get how to run a gallery show playbook. Let me tell you how relevant that thing is right now. We might as well put that thing on a shelf. But he had, I got to work very closely with him on this whole thing, pre-marketing on how to build hype, what to do, all that. And I even got involved in the pricing, which was so enjoyable. And he had, sort of the banner piece, right? Like the thumbnail of the show, right? Like the one like winning piece. And for reference, I think so far he sold a little bit of $1,000 Canadian. So it's a big show, a lot of work. And on this one piece, he had it priced at like 14 or 15 grand. And I was like, and it was priced like the same as like 3 or 4 other works. And I'm like, dude, that's the lead image of this whole show. All this marketing after putting down, we knock the 5 grand, okay? Knock the price up 5 grand. And all the pieces are in a gallery, right? And what ends up happening? Puts the price up 5 grand. Buyer comes in, starts negotiating, says there's no way I'm paying that. I'll knock 5 grand off and I'll take it. Sold. So just by raising it to the same price. So it's like, you hear these stories of like devaluing the work, and I'm like, that is just a silly mental block you're putting in your head, right? That's like you know what it is? You know what it is? That is you saying, I don't want to go outside, it's raining, right? What you have to do is pull out the damn umbrella and go outside.
Yep.
Right? It's not a big
That's
deal.
it. That's all it is.
You just put those blocks. But that was like an on the ground, like slap me in the face, like there you go, there it is. And so if you've got a problem with discounting, guess what you do? You raise all your prices, discount right to where you want to sell them to. It's not, it's just, especially as it pertains to online commerce, we are now a sales group. And the analogy that I always use, and it's one of my favorite ones, is it's fishing out in the ocean. You get in a boat, you motor out to the middle of the ocean, and the ocean is a big thing. It covers 2/3 of the planet, right? The fish are not everywhere all the time. Where are they? They're other down low. So when they come up, i.e. when they're ready to buy, if you don't have the right thing in the water, they're just going to go right back down. And so you don't know when they're going to come up sometimes, right? Like you can do some things, you can work on your marketing to get them up to the surface. But you don't know 100% of the time what's going to get them up. So when they're there, you better have the right thing in the water, right? And that's in a sale, in a deal, gives us an extra little push, an extra little bit of incentive to push people over the edge and pull the trigger. You know, it's like, it's a weight in the water is all it is. It's like, I'm going to come, I'm this big whale. I'm going to come up. I am so short on time. I look at this thing. Wait a minute. There's a sale going on. Okay, maybe you got me. And if you didn't, maybe I got distracted and I was gone. And it's like, attention is so fleeting right now. We are so distracted. We're being so bombarded that, you know, I sort of stand by my original position on it to an extent. But we'll continue to tease that out.
Yep. Okay, this is a really misconception that we push prints and not original paintings, or that we only work with photographers or we only work with artists. I'll handle this really quickly for us. We do not care what you sell, right? We're helping people sell originals, prints, commissions. It doesn't matter, okay? So, what you sell, what you want to sell. We're here to help people build a successful art business that's profitable, you know, that you can get long-term. We work with pretty much 50-50 photographers and artists, all right? So it's so funny how we get that. Somebody sees like a certain blog post, and it's because we did a case study. They're like, well, it looks like you only work with photographers. Or then it's a painter, and it looks like you only work with painters. No. We work with everybody. Nobody's any more successful than anybody else. Okay, everybody's just building their businesses. And that leads me to the last question. What are our success rates? That's a question that we get a lot. Success rates, you know, at art storefronts. And I find that question so fascinating because I'm like, what's the answer they're looking for here, right? Like, we're equipping. There's two main things for those of you who don't know exactly what we do. Okay, we're an all-in-one solution for photographers and artists, but there's two main products that we provide. It's all together though. First is the proper art gallery website with all of the features you need to sell art online successfully and give the finest art buying experience to your buyers, right? So you're going to be perfectly equipped to sell art online and run your own art gallery online. Second part, probably the more important part by far, is the ongoing art marketing and business consulting, right? So that is a 65-day-a-year art marketing calendar, a whole plan on what to do. It's live consulting workshops, 4 days a week we're doing right now. We're live on these Zoom calls like this. However, all of our customers are on the Zoom call too. And we are talking like live, not in comments, but live to each other, answering questions and consulting on their specific businesses, right? We're also doing deep dive workshops on specific tactics. The number one tactic that we want everybody doing right now in the pandemic, which I can't talk about because it's private for members only. And you know, we're in detail. We've got playbooks for all of these things, but there's a lot of nuance to them. So people are asking a lot of questions, and we're looking at different scenarios that opportunities, and we're coaching through all of that, and everybody's getting that coaching. So that's essentially the marketing product. We also have the private member that you get technical marketing support. So like if you're doing Facebook ads or something like that, and there's something like weird that's in there, one of our team members can help you with it, and the other members share tactics and strategies and work together as well, which is kind of cool. So those are the two main things. That's we have the two products. That's the all-in-one. Okay, so that's our core offering. So we're equipping you to give you the best chance at succeeding with your art business. If you're brand new to having an art business or a photography business, to selling art, you want to equip yourself the best way possible and have the wind at your back, right? And just see whether you can actually make it happen. Give it 2 years, 3 years, and go after it. You are going to know whether you will make it or not, because with being equipped with all of the right stuff to make it happen is a real valid test, right? And people that are more experienced and have been selling and all that stuff, the product is fantastic. So we work with people that are full-time artists, have been doing it for a long time, already sell, all the way down to people that are brand new businesses. And I should mention too, people love to hear this, with the workshops that we have, we actually have 3 customer groups on these workshops. And then we have general ones as well. And everybody's welcome to attend any one. Nobody's getting excluded from anything. But the 3 groups are, number 1, workshop for new businesses, people that have no traction yet. The second thing is for people who have traditionally sold well offline, but just haven't well online yet. And then the third group is for people who are just doing well, really well. And we define that as the minimum that we want in that group. People that have sold $20,000 or $30,000 online from their websites in the last year. Okay. But again, anybody can attend anything, because I think that the value discussion and the consulting is so good that even just we literally will have 200 of our members on each of these workshops at a time, and 80% of them will just be watching quietly and taking notes like they're in school. You know what I mean? Because if there's a lot that you can learn from who are further along than you. So back to the success rates, right? So
and just to chime in on that, like, I hate that question, because again, the exact same thing. Like, when people always ask that, what are the average amount of sales a customer on your platform is making, right?
It's kind of a get-rich-quick question.
Expect to make in the first year. It is. You are in a bad mental state when you ask, because you're thinking that there is some sort of magic fairy dust, some sort of service you can pay for, some sort of marketing consultant that you can hire. It's instantaneously going to get your work some percentage of sales. That is not the case. It does not exist. Stop thinking like that. That is not what's holding you back. What's holding you back is consistent and regular marketing.
And running a business.
And how well you're going to do depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And so, like, how do you measure success? That's like the main way you measure it, right? Because, like, so the part-timers, the stay-at-home moms and dads, like, that we have on our platform that only want to sell 7 or 8 or 10,000 a year, like, that's success to them. That's all they're looking for, right? And then you have people who are selling hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that are full-time. This is what they do for a living. So how do you take an average of that and say the average sales? It's not like a fair comparison, right? Like, all of these people are just getting equipped. It's like it's by Microsoft Office, and then say you call Microsoft Office, that's going to equip you to, like, have software tools to, like, Microsoft Word and things that you can use, and go, hey, what are your success rates with Microsoft Office? Like, what are the average sales of those businesses? You know what I mean? So there's no way to define it. But what I will say, the question really is, it's a credibility question. Like, it's a confidence question in us. And I think what I will say is, we measure success ourselves through various, metrics. The number one is called promoter score. If you're not familiar with it and you really care about this question, look it up, Google it. It's called NPS, Net Promoter. It is the gold standard for measuring customer satisfaction in business, okay? We take it very seriously. And I just logged into our tool. I can't do a screen share right now because I don't want it to kick us offline. We'll do it another time, or we'll show you, it doesn't matter. But our Net Promoter Score this morning was 7, okay? And that is a very, very high score, and we are very proud of it. So and I should explain, the promoter score question is, how likely are you to recommend art storefronts to a friend, to another friend, right? And it's a scale of 0 to 10 being, I am extremely likely to recommend art storefronts, right? And so if a business is creating referrals and recommendations, then it is an extremely, like, so that's what the Net Promoter Score is all about. And our score is extremely high. And that's if we can do a great job with our customers, so much to recommend it to their friends, that is a really good position to be in. We also track
what our take on open editions versus editions for quality work, or a combination where small prints and open and large ones limited. That's a good question. You want to start?
Yeah. So, ideally, if you're a painter, you should be selling originals, you should be selling limited editions and open editions to have all price points. Now, there's nuance to that, right? If you told me that you can't keep originals on the shelves and you're selling a ton of them, and you create one, then I'd probably consult with you and tell you, just keep focusing on that, just keep pushing on that until you hit a wall, right? Like, how far can your sales go? Don't change anything. You're doing extremely well. But the reason for having all of those is to have the different price points to widen your market opportunity possible.
Yeah, and the price points are so key, right? Because let's just say your email list, Jason. Let's say it's 10,000 people. Keep it a nice number. Whether it is or it isn't, it's relevant. That email list is just a bell curve. It starts over here, it does a little, and it comes down, right? On the low end of the bell curve are people that have no money. They're not ever going to buy any art from you. That's okay. They're just fans. In the middle are middle-class people, middle-class disposable income. But down here on the end, there's going to be some whales. We see this like across the board. Everyone's follower count seems to be a bell curve. So if you don't have the price for those guys on the right-hand side that are, expensive pieces, you're not taking a shot, and that's probably all they want to buy. What they want to buy has to it, right? So we love what an original can provide for the business, what a limited edition can provide for the business, and yes, even down to the prints, because you're offering a product at a price point to those various different groups. And everyone's fear that I think they build up in their head is like, well, is this one going to affect this part of the business, or is this one going to affect? They're different buyers. They're in different stylists. Like they can only afford this thing, and maybe they save up for this other thing, or they're like, I would never touch these cheap things. I am just too successful, and this is why I have a convertible Mercedes or a convertible, like I'm all about the prestige, and so I need to feel good about a high purchase item or in the middle or on the lower end. But the next point too, like, we get this all the time because we offer print, right? Like it's one of the important parts of our business. Like you can have a website with us, get an order, and it gets shipped to your customer, and you don't touch anything. That's awesome, right? It doesn't mean we want to encourage you to selling prints. All we care about is that you're successful in your business. So the nuance that he spoke to earlier, like we see some artists that are absolutely it with commissions, like literally cannot produce the commission work fast enough. And what do? They try to start selling cheaper prints or right? And it's like, what are you doing? Do you know how hard it is to find traction in one particular piece, one particular thing that you have with the commission? Your job is to focus 100% of the commission, so if you feel like you can't even get any more revenue out of that. So there is some nuance to it, and it's sort of a hot button question talking about it. But I would say price point diversity, and have something really expensive in your store. And I mean obnoxious expensive. There's a feature called price anchoring that'll make everybody feel better about buying things.
Yeah, and so before we go into, if there's any more questions, I'll just mention again, Art Storefronts is running a big sale right now for anyone who wants to join. It ends at the end of the month, okay? So, last day is next Thursday. There's limited spots to request a demo to get in there. If you're interested, go to our website, www.artstorefronts.com. You'll always see a request a demo button in the upper corner, on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And click that, fill out the form, you'll get in the queue. Somebody from our outreach team will reach out to you and find out about you and see if it's a good fit first, get you all the information, and run a demo after that, and potentially join if it's for you. So if you're interested, go ahead and request a demo and get in the queue as soon as you can. It's a great time. There's never ran a bigger sale. It's been going on this month, and it's because of the pandemic. We're trying to let people get in and get the most value. So it's a good time to take advantage of it if you can. Do we have any other questions?
You can say any last questions you guys have. Go ahead and throw them in. We'd love to deal with them. I almost thought that like we need to have one of our salespeople on the call that can just take the chats can just take the handoffs and move right over.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
BSF customers, if you're still on, thank you very much for the kind words. You guys didn't need to do that. And,
yes, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
We see it and we know. And thanks for spending some time with us. A Saturday morning, which, by the way, where I am, massive heat wave, dude. It's going to be like 104 outside today.
Wow.
The kids are going to be nuts.
Wow. Be nuts. Palm Springs, Plum Desert?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful here in Austin. I mean, yesterday was it was like 92. So kids out at the pool, my wife, I've got 3 kids, and it was awesome. It was great. So, I mean, we're all quarantined. A decent time of the year, Yeah. You can use the pool, you can get outside, and if you've got that, so.
Yeah. Jason's got a question for you. He says, Nick, Winwars, I don't know if I can reach you otherwise. Given the hefty buy-in and significant monthly fee, how do you rationalize dipping our actual sale?
How do you ration? I don't get that question. Do you understand what he's asking? The hefty, I don't understand the hefty fee. I just flat out don't get that. Because maybe it's just because I've, being a business owner for 20 years, it's like your business goes in steps, right? Number one, you have to hire consultants to help you do marketing, right? That's $100 to $200 an hour for anyone worth their salt. So if you start adding that up, if you want to really grow your real business, how much does that cost, right? After you've used consultants that are expensive, because the best part about that is you don't have to take too much, right? To hiring a part-time or a full-time employee, that's why you do that. But after that, you eventually hire a full-time employee. Like a lot of the artists on our platform that are selling the most, not a lot, but some of them, they have hired assistants, right? Because they're not doing the marketing work anymore. They're only doing a small piece. They need somebody to do it for them. So the first step is consultants usually. The second step is part-time, and then you go to full-time employees, and then you have multiple full-time employees. I'm just referring to any business. That's what happens when you start companies. I've started 6 companies. And so you have to compare the fee to what you're actually get outside of that. And so that's why I say it's not a hefty fee. Like consultants are hefty fees when you're paying $100, $200 an hour. I mean, there's a saying, it's like and a consultant will send you $1,000 bill for it, right? So if you're not doing any of that and your sales are really good and you found a way to make that happen, then you probably, you don't, but if you need help and you need, and your business isn't going where you want it to, or you see the value in what we're doing, it's, it's an investment in yourself and your future. So that's what it is.
Yeah. I got a question. How you decide pricing on your artwork from Michael Terry?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the pricing. So what for people starting out, if you haven't sold before, is when you actually when you upload your work, it's actually going to start you off at a 250% markup from the cost. Okay, now that would be for open edition prints for the cost of the print. Okay, so the system will automatically do that, and then you can adjust that how you want to, but that's where we as a company kind of start everyone who doesn't know what their pricing should already be. It's a good markup. Your margins will be good. It's a good place to start because you can raise your pricing from there, but generally you're going to be pretty well off by starting there. So that just makes it really easy.
Yep. All right. I think that covers it. Any questions?
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the questions. I hope we answered them good. If not, we will be live again. That is certain. As certain as the sun rises each day, we will be doing these lives. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoy it.
Yeah, you too, Nick.
All right.
Have a good day, brother.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.